So welcome to the Vocational Education Podcast. This is our live recording and this is episode number 9. My name's Dan Hill and tonight we are going to cover the use of digital media, particularly podcasting from a learner's perspective and an educator's perspective. Who has ever listened to a podcast before? What sort of podcast did you listen to?
I subscribe to a lot of the project management of the
Really?
podcast. Really good.
Project management? Nice. And when do you listen to them? Nice place to do it. And what sort of podcasts are they? What are they, like lectures or discussion forums? What are they?
I may have breached the rule a little bit, but
I think it's
the definition.
kind of a podcast.
No,
We don't want to hear about those.
No.
That's terrible.
We were talking before about that. No, these are mainly within very large government agencies who are looking to get the word out about new programs and.
Okay.
Yeah, so more of a webcast than a podcast.
That's okay. It's still a digital cast of some form, and it's a very close definition. So,
Mine are definitely non-professional. They're ABC News podcasts.
Good.
And then running.
And running, wow. And which neuroscience one do you listen to?
David Rock's one.
David Rocks, okay, no, that one. Similar interest there. Neuropod from Nature magazine, very, very cool. There's lots, and I'll explain why they're handy in a sec. It's for people who want information and want to share information. So in other words, they're for you as a learner, or if you're an educator like us, we can use them. This will actually tail into your talk a little bit too, Susan, about promotion or promoting yourself, or what can you do when in the downtimes, but I won't spoil that secret. It's a video or audio format for when you're on the go, hence in the car is a great spot. Mind you, it doesn't have to be just when you're driving. So what exactly are podcasts? This is the definition. They're an RSS, or they call a rich site summary, but everyone knows them as a really simple syndication. Really simple syndication. Anybody here can publish something that is then available to the world, either free or free, because there is no such thing as a paid RSS feed. You can subscribe, and then once you subscribe, you can offer to pay money, but they have to set that up separately. The publisher does. So it's all free information. And they talk about this being the information age, and let me tell you, it really, really is, especially when you have a good look at what's available in podcasts. So firstly, how do I get them? Well, you go to a podcast library. The best podcast library is the biggest one, which is iTunes, but there are a few others. I use this one because I'm one of those Apple fiends, but yeah, it's just easier because it syncs with everything else. And of course, which ones are the best? Well, the thing about podcasts, or Zune or other portals like that, is that you get a chance to rate them, and they're rated by the people who listen to them. So if you see one that's got 1 star, don't bother. Don't waste your time. If you see one that's got 4 or 5 stars, you might think to yourself, well, that's a subject I like, and it's got 5 stars, it's worth a download. When you go to a library, you will see a list. In this case, it's a graphic list of all of the different kinds of podcasts, and they'll be sorted by category. Categories include anything from arts all the way through to TV and film. You'll see one in there for education. We are educators, so it might be a good category to start with. But it's up to you. It's what you want to listen to. So as a learner, it could be art or it could be running. It doesn't matter. So you select, in this case I've selected education, and once you do, it repopulates the site with all the education podcasts. And unfortunately it doesn't show you all of them, it shows you all of the ones that are getting all the good hits. So it'll have the new ones and noteworthy. Noteworthy means there's a lot of downloads. What's hot, those ones who have good ratings. And then you've also got a search function where you can just search for a particular subject heading and see what comes up within that category. Now let's say we go to education and we choose TED Talks. What a good idea. Now you'll see there, and for those of you listening, you will see a small television set, which means it's a video cast, vidcast, vodcast. It's a video version of a podcast. So if you like this particular idea, you can even subscribe. If you subscribe, your iTunes or whatever your player is will start to populate with all the back episodes. You can choose not to download it to save yourself the bandwidth, or you can find ones you do want to and tick just them, or you can say, keep me up to date. Give me all the new ones. I can't wait. I drive an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 20 minutes to work every day. Believe me, I can't wait. Give them to me. So when they've downloaded, they'll go to blue dot, and you can scroll down to the one you like. So let's say you like this particular TED Talk by Beardy Man, and you want to listen to it. Once it's downloaded, and even on a 3G connection, it'll download in as little as, I don't know, a minute and a half. You can select it, and of course, you can watch it on your device. That easily, okay? So once it's playing on your device, it's there for you to reuse as many times as you like, hence the freeness of it all. You can share it if you want, or you can just tell someone to go to that particular store and do it themselves. Nice and simple. Now, we're not going to see that one, sorry, but if you want to, Beardy Man, very funny. He uses sound in a really cool way. That's from the learner's perspective. And I do ask if you, and I don't think we need to really tell the story here, but if you've got an interest, I really do say, by all means, go and have a look at podcasting as a method of filling in those drives with information. Because we all have to drive long ways, especially in a consultancy role as a trainer these days. So why not? Why not use that time to educate yourself? And I found the neuroscience one just fascinating because I've got about 3 or 4 different neuroscience ones, because you learn about learning, you learn about how the brain works and the most up-to-date stuff. Like Nature magazine comes out with this podcast once every month, and they review the articles from that month's Nature magazine. And Nature is, as you know, the most famous science journal in the world and most respected. So I found that Nature Pod, Nature Pod I think it's called, has about 5 different podcasts. And I've subscribed to all of them because they're just all fascinating. They're not all neuroscience, but they are all very interesting. So how about creating your own? How do you do it? Has anybody ever tried? Has anybody ever tried to do any of their own digital content? SlideShare, that's a good example. So what's SlideShare? So you basically create a PowerPoint, you can upload it directly to SlideShare, and it has its own templates, all sorts of ways, and you can speak over it, correct? And so it's very self-paced for the person listening. Very cool way of doing it. It just makes them suddenly more interactive. You need to start with the content. And it has to be in some sort of digital format. That makes sense. So when I say digital format, it means it can be shared around either via the internet, by USB, or whatever. So it needs to have sound, video, or both if you're really cool, if you want to start getting into that sort of thing. But when you've got both, suddenly your expenses for the gear that you need to buy start to go up a bit. Now, sure, you can make a really cool podcast with your phone. Video, in fact, a lot of them do, and a lot of YouTube hosts started that way, and then they got 1 million followers, and so they bought themselves really cool video gear, and now they look really professional. But that's another thing. That's YouTube, and we're not quite going down that route. Now, I'm not going to go into exactly how to make them, but I am demonstrating how to make one right now. But we're facilitators, we're teachers. We should always remember our learning principles. And I say the more the better. What am I talking about there? The more what?
The more principles included.
The more principles included, yes. What else might I be talking about there? More, okay, well it is, yeah. You're giving them... Remember, as adult learners, you're self-directed, yeah? Remember that one? So you choose what you want to learn, when you want to learn it. So yes, timing does come into it. But what I'm really trying to say is the more senses, the better. So if you do video, do lots of colour, do sound, do talking, do writing on the screen at the same time. So the more visually appealing it is, the more likely that person's going to recall the information. Nice basic neuroscience, that one. And that, ladies and gents, believe it or not, is the basics of developing your own content. Very, very simply. And what I've done tonight as a part of the Vocational Education podcast, which I've been doing for about 1.5 years now, very poorly. By that I mean I do not do it regularly, is I've recorded my voice using a $30 microphone plugged into my iPhone with an app that cost me $8. And the reason I put the mic there, you can actually get an app and you can just hold your phone there. I just put it there so I don't have to. Plus I'm one hand down. Yeah, I couldn't point. And what I've done here is I've downloaded an animated slideshow, and then I've obviously customised it, so that's why it looks like it does. That's actually a subscription site and is so worthwhile. I think it's $50 a year, but it has got dozens and hundreds of full templates like that, plus hundreds of little animated whatevers. And I say whatevers, everything from a phone ringing and a message popping up on it, through to a little man, I don't know, waving a flag, and all these sorts of things that you can put into your presentations. So it's kind of cool. Who knows of software that can capture video off your TV, off your computer screen?
Video.
Yeah, so it captures what you're doing. Camtasia is a good one, which is one I use, but there's lots. So what you can do, literally, you mask the size or the part of the screen that you want, and you press record and will record anything that happens, plus your voiceover if you want it to, in that part of the screen. So if you're teaching someone how to use some software, that's what they can use. But think about it this way, I can actually run through, time this presentation to my voice, record it at the same time, publish on YouTube, done. Share through LinkedIn. It's that easy to create digital content. And you guys are presenting all the time, so maybe next time just think about one portion of it that you want to record that you think might be useful, that won't be copyright infringement, and you never know, it could be quite useful. Thank you, ladies and gents.